Maulers have been both geniuses and troublemakers who've stirred up chaos in a few fights along the way, and they are a very important part of the show as well. They've got quite the rap sheet from targeting the White House to breaking out of prison. These guys aren't just about fists. They've mastered cloning and even brought someone back from the dead. Yes, you heard that right, the dead. So let's rewind and cover their most memorable fights and cloning experiments, and trust me, it's quite the roller coaster. Let's see how these Maulers mark their importance in the world of Invincible. The very first time we got to see Maulers fight was at the beginning of Season 1. It'll be fair to say that Invincible kicked things off with a fighting scene involving Maulers. These Mauler guys targeted a special place. They could have chosen as the first place they attacked to be a shop, or a bank, or even a jewelry store, but no. Why not do something big instead? Attack something big? Attack something big? Someone big? And so they did. They chose to attack the White House and the president. Good move, guys. Good move. Why did they want to attack the president, you ask? Well, they thought it was because of the president's interference that their plan failed every time. As expected, their plan failed again. I mean, attacking this White House plan. Maulers were not successful. Sure, they were no match for their security and weapons at the White House that tried to stop them, but they forgot about the Guardians. And soon they had to regret it. The Guardians arrived at the scene. And it took them a lot of effort to defeat these guys, but they did eventually. The second time we saw Maulers in action was when they broke out of prison. Shit.
Oh, sorry, Pete.
They beat the shit out of Pete, one of the guards at the prison that the Maulers were kept in. So they thrashed the poor guy around a bit and got away. And on their way out, they were welcomed by lasers that could kill them. So how to get out of that now? How to be safe? Well, one of the Mauler twins attacked the other from behind and used him as a shield of meat against the attack of the laser. And then he threw that Mauler into the laser machine, which broke it. So yeah, and that's how Mauler got away, and that was his tiny fight against his clone.
I'm surprised you don't see it. You being the original and all.
Now let's talk about the first time Mauler cloned himself. This one's gonna be very interesting. So the first thing he does is build a machine. This machine is a somatic encoder. I'm not gonna dive into the deep sciencey stuff, but let's just give you a summary. The smaller guy makes this machine, and then he places his blood inside of the machine. He drilled that blood out of him because his skin was very hard to be penetrated by a syringe, so after that blood is done, he provides nutrition to that blood. And after all that is done, Mauler waits, and after a few hours, his clone is ready. Makes a lot of sense, right?
I almost forgot how good I look.
Now let's cover another fight scene, this time with Robot. Robot wanted them to go to prison because that's where they belong. I mean, someone who creates so much trouble and smashes and destroys public property every now and then, like, they deserve to be locked up. Robot wanted that, but do the Mauler guys look so obedient that when somebody asks them to go to prison, they'll just nicely agree and say, sure, let's go to prison? Hell nah! They weren't willing to go inside a prison again, so they had a little fight with the counterparts of Robot. These counterparts were not enough to tame these Maulers, and Maulers destroyed them, but Robot had a trick up his sleeve. He came in with the giant robot. And this time the Maulers got thrashed. Now we don't get to see the result of that fight because the robot immediately received a call from Cecil, ordering him to come back immediately. Gosh darn it, if it weren't for Cecil, I would have bet my money on Robot to win that fight. Well, we all know by now that the Maulers are geniuses when it comes to cloning and this science stuff. You'll be surprised to know that their knowledge can bring someone back from the dead. Yes, back from the dead. That's what they did with Immortal. We all saw Immortal die in episode 1. Omni-Man literally chopped his head off and punched through him. Oh my gosh. The Maulers resurrected him. Their way of resurrecting him was rather casual though.
Murdered!
And guess what? It worked! Mauler shouted, "Murdered, idiot!" And that clicked a switch in Immortal and he woke up. Like, what the frick? Moving on, next up we have Mauler fighting against Invincible while performing that test on Levy.
Make us.
You have no idea how much I wanted you to say that.
Invincible seems quite confident, doesn't he? Well, he got his ass kicked. Obviously, he showed some overpowering in the beginning, but with more and more Maulers coming in, he fell short on strength and stamina, agility and skills, and the Maulers thrashed him to a point where he would be dead if it were not for Levy to stop the process.
Utopia with blood!
He proceeds to remove that helmet-like thing on his head, and the whole place turns into ashes. And last but not least, we have another fight scene. Not really a fight, but more like a murder scene. You see, Maulers were giving each other trouble by calling one another a clone, and that seemed to bother both of them, so one of them took things too far. There were two Maulers. Let's call them Mauler 1 and Mauler 2. Well, Mauler 1 poisoned Mauler 2. And there you go, that marks the end of this list of all the fighting and cloning scenes of Maulers. If you want us to create more of these scene videos of any topic, please do let me know, and we will be glad to make a video for you guys. Thanks for watching, and see you next time!